Friends, my channel name is Indian Epic History. Search this channel name on YouTube, then select playlist option for all my videos like Ramayan, Mahabharat, Puran. Otherwise, click the channel name or picture below the video, then go to the playlist. This is Bori Critical Valmiki Ramayan book Ayodhya Kand, chapter 56. In grief, Rama's mother angrily said this. Hearing these harsh words, the king was miserable and started to think. He thought about the terrible misdeed he had perpetrated earlier. Ignorantly, he had struck, depending on sound alone. The Lord's mind was distracted by this and by sorrow on account of Rama. Addressed by Kaushalya, the king was afflicted by these two different kinds of sorrow. He said, O Kaushalya, I have joined my hands in supplication. Show me your favors. You have always been affectionate and non-violent towards others. O Queen, whether he possesses qualities or does not possess qualities, one must remember the dharma that a husband is like a divinity himself. You have witnessed the superior and the inferior in this world, but have always been supremely devoted to dharma. Whether you are miserable or extremely miserable, you should not have spoken these disagreeable words to me. Hearing the piteous words of the king uttered in misery, Kaushalya shed tears like fresh water flowing down a drain. She cupped her hands in the form a lotus and held the king's head. Weeping as she did this, she was terrified and scared, and and she spoke so fast that the syllables were indistinct. I am bowing down my head and seeking your favors. I am lying down on the ground in front of you. O king, I am afflicted and I am requesting you, through I do not deserve to be pardoned. O brave one, in both the worlds there is no intelligent woman who has thus been lauded by her husband. O one who knows about dharma, I know about dharma. I know you to be truthful in speech, afflicted on account of grief over my son. What have I said to you? Sorrow destroys patience, sorrow destroys learning, sorrow destroys everything. There is no enemy like sorrow. One is capable of withstanding a blow that is struck by the hands of an enemy. However, if it is sorrow, even if it's very subtle, that is impossible to tolerate. 5 nights have passed since Rama left for residing in the forest. However, since my joy has been destroyed by grief, it seems like 5 years to me. Thinking of him, the sorrow of my heart is enhanced. It is like the great water of the ocean, enhanced by the force of rivers. As Kaushalya spoke these auspicious words, the sun's rays turned mild and night arrived. The king was cheered by Queen Kaushalya's words. Through overcome by sorrow, he came under the subjugation of sleep. Next chapter 57. King Dasharatha was senseless with sorrow. However, he regained his senses in an instant and started to think. He was Vashava's equal, but because of Rama and Lakshmana's exile, he faced a calamity like the sun darkened by the Asura. On the sixth night after Rama had left for the forest, in the middle of the night, King Dasharatha remembered his wicked deed that he had done. Afflicted by grief on account of his son, he addressed Kaushalya in these words, O fortunate one, according to whether he performs an auspicious act or an auspicious act, the door reaps the consequences of any deed that he has done. A person who commences a deed without considering whether it is grave or trivial, the fruits of the deed and its taints is said to be a child. Some look at flowers and desiring fruits, cut down mango trees and nurture palasha trees. They sorrow when the fruits are obtained. I have also cut down a group of mango trees and nurtured palasha. Being evil minded, I have forsaken the fruit that is Rama and am grieving later. O Kaushalya, when I was young, I became proficient with the bow and could strike at the sound. As a young man, I was known as Sabdabhedi. That is when I perpetrated a wicked deed, O Queen. Because of what I myself did, I am now faced with this misery. It is as if I consumed poison through childish confusion. In my ignorance, I have repeated this fruit of being a Shabdabedi, O Queen. I was the heir apparent then and was not married to you. The monsoon season arrived and it increased my desire. Having drunk all the juices from the earth, the sun, the one who pervades the earth with its rays, had entered the terrible southern direction frequented by those others. The heat suddenly disappeared and cool clouds could be seen. All the frogs antelopes and peacocks were filled with joy. Water continued to pour down on water that had already showered down. Inhabited by maddened antelopes, the mountains were submerged in torrents of water. This was an extremely pleasant period. I resolved to have some exercise with a bow and arrow, and on a chariot I followed the course of the Sarayu river. I was in control of my senses and wished to kill a buffalo, elephant, or any other predatory beast that would come to the river in the night. In the darkness, I heard the sound of a pot being filled with water. Since I wasn't able to see, I threw that it was the sound of an elephant trumpeting. Therefore, I affixed a blazing arrow that was like virulent poison. I released the sharp arrow that was like virulent poison. I heard a human voice scream, "Alas, alas." As the person fell down, it was evident that these sounds were uttered by a resident of the forest, who said, "How did a weapon strike down an ascetic? In the night I came to the river to collect some water, who has struck me with his arrow. What have I done to anyone? I am a rishi who has cast aside the staff. I dwell in the forest on forest fire, who has recommended the use of a weapon to slay a person like me. I wear a mass of matted hair. My garments are made of bark and deerskin. What purpose will be served by killing me? What injury have I caused to anyone? This is a pointless act that is full of ill intent. No one will say that this act is virtuous. It is like transgressing the preceptor's bed. I am not grieving because my own life has come to an end. Since I will die, I am sorrowing about my mother and my father. For a long time, this aged couple has been nurtured by me. After my death, how will they sustain themselves? It is as if I and my aged mother and father have been slain by the single arrow. Who is the extremely foolish person who has killed all of us, always desirous of dharma? I heard those piteous words. Since I was distressed, the bow and arrow fell down from my hands on the ground. Distressed in spirit and miserable in my mind, I went to that spot on the banks of the Sarayu. I saw the ascetic who had been struck by the arrow. I stood there terrified with my senses distracted. He glanced at me with his eyes as if he would burn me down through his energy. He then spoke these cruel words, "O king, while I resided here, What injury have I caused to you? I wish to collect water for my seniors, and you have struck me down. Indeed, a single arrow has been enough to strike at my vital organs, but it has also slain my aged and blind mother and father. They are weak, blind, and thirsty, and are waiting for me, bearing their thirst and difficulties. They have been waiting for me for a long time. There may indeed be ascetics who have obtained the fruits of their yoga and learning, but my father does not know that I have fallen down and am lying down on the ground here. He does not know he is weak and incapacitated, but will he do? What will he do? He is like a tree that is unable to save another tree that is being cut down. O Raghava, go there quickly and tell my father so that he does not angrily burn you down. Like a forest by fire, O king, this path will take you to my father's hermitage. If you go and seek his favors, he will not curse you in his anger, O king. Take out this stake of the sharp arrow from my body. It is tormenting me just as even gentle flows of water can steer an unable river bank. O king, I am not a Brahmana. Do not be distressed on that account, O Lord of inhabitations. My mother is a Shudra and my father is a Vaishya. Since the arrow had struck at his vital organs, he spoke these words with difficulty. As he was losing his senses, I drew out the arrow. His body was drenched with water, and he lamented at this calamity with his inner organs struck by the arrow. He cited repeatedly, O fortunate one, extremely miserable. I lay him down in the Sarayu and looked at him. Next chapter 58 in our next video.